Welcome to day 3 of our fast and fasting with me. I hope that your fast is going very well so far and that maybe you hit a wall yesterday, but you've broken through that wall. So, day 3 of the fasting mimicking diet is an interesting day because for some, it is a time when we feel really good. We've burned through our glucose stores. We're now in ketosis. We've got ketone bodies running through our bloodstream. It's powering us and it is suppressing hunger, which is key, right? Another thing is some people don't feel very well on day 3. Sometimes for people, day 3 is really hard. What I have realized is that my journeys on fasting rounds go up and down. It is all over the place. So most rounds since my 7th and 8th round, that's when everything totally changed because everything got easier. And I think I just accepted the fact that ketones really could suppress hunger. And so it's almost as if I allowed that to happen. But sometimes day 3 is really hard. So just go with it. And if it's really hard and you're really tired, it just means that the body is doing its work. It is doing its thing. Things are working. So yesterday I had a pretty raging headache. It started in the afternoon. And then by the time the evening hit, I was just like, wow, this actually hurts so bad. I need to go lie down or just go to bed. Just go to bed. So it's weird because I don't normally ever get headaches, ever. In the last 13 years, I can count how many headaches I've had on one hand. I always get them when I have COVID. But when you get headaches in a fast, it could mean many things, but it's typically sugar withdrawal. But if you don't typically eat a lot of sugary things, then that's probably not it. It could be caffeine withdrawal, which is why it's so important to wean off of caffeine going into a fast. For me, that was probably the case because I didn't have caffeine. I didn't have any coffee or any caffeinated teas even for my day 1 and day 2. And so that resulted probably in a headache. I'm being nice to myself. The third reason in terms of what may be happening is that we have a high toxic load in our system, and that is simply being worked out. So I like to think of it that way, whether it was caffeine withdrawal or just a higher than usual toxic load while I'm fasting. I'm happy to get rid of it. So that's what Joel Fuhrman says. He says that a lot of headaches, big headaches during a fast is just detoxing, right? High toxic load on the day-to-day. This is why we're fasting. This is why we're doing this good work. So today, let's do our snack. Okay, so let's turn this baby on. It's snack time. It is almost 3:30 local time. I'm in grams. I'm set to 0. I am allowed 13 grams of cashews. Now just make sure that you've got raw cashews. I don't know why they say they're fancy cashews. I don't know what that means, but we want 13 grams. That amount is only 11.9. 13.5. What should you do? I have a half piece. That was easy. Put that one back. There we go. 13 grams on the money. Wow. That was sweet. Hit that tear to reset it. Now we're at 0. We are allowed 43 grams of blueberries. That's what you'll see on our menu. But if you don't want to do blueberries, you can also do any kind of berries. So our blueberries are not really amazing right now. These are washed. I always recommend not adding water weight to your scale, but I'm not listening to my own advice this time. So let's do those first. 10 grams, so 43 minus 10, 33. So I really want these blackberries. Hopefully they're tasty blackberries. I can never tell. They don't really smell. Anyway, let's do, what did I say? 33. Well, I don't have to do math because I just have to weigh it up to 43. Hello. Okay. 48. Can I pick a smaller blackberry? 46. Okay, we are 3 grams over our allotment. So in this case, what do? I could shave a little bit of this off. I could remove a blueberry. I could remove another blueberry and another one. Oh my gosh. Okay, 43.1, right on the money. So I'll just do that. Perfect. So this is our interesting snack, kind of a weird snack. I know, I realize this, but whatever. Let's hope for the best. Yeah, they don't smell. I don't know how to shop for fresh blackberries, but man, when they're good, they're so good. These ones are okay. Yeah, I'll say they're okay. So we have a free DIY fasting mimicking diet guide, menu, grocery list, and instructions on how to customize your menu according to your tastes, your allergies, all the things. So that link is in the description. Please, if you download this, please check your spam folder before you go back to that page and try to download 5 more times. Okay, it's probably in your spam folder. It will get into your inbox immediately. So you probably don't have to wait more than a minute. It is almost always like immediate. I mean, what do I know? I don't control Kajabi, but we use a very respectable platform that is pretty dang reliable. So what's cool about this menu is how versatile it is. So even though on the menu itself it says 43 grams of blueberries for a snack from days 2 to 5, as you can see, I can just swap it out. I could have done raspberries, strawberries. I could have done all 4. I could have done cherries, whatever. I'm just in the berry family. And so that just makes this very flexible, really nice, especially if you decide that you're going to fast 2-3 times a year. You may not want to have the exact same food every single round. Even if you're only doing it 2 or 3 times a year, you would be surprised at how tired the same menu gets. If you want to be super specific and exact, you can also just punch this into Chronometer, which is what we use, and you can just make sure that the macros are super tight. That's what I believe is so important about the amazing fasting mimicking diet, is getting the macros right. So we looked at that on our day 1 a couple of days ago. You can refer back to that for those numbers, but all of this menu stuff is very versatile. So all we do is ensure that we use a variety of whole plant foods. In doing that, you're feeding different microbes, bacteria, the healthy, the good gut bacteria in our guts. It's strengthening that 1 cell layer gut wall so we don't have leaky gut. And it is making the microbiota, the microbiome, flourish, just flourish. And so when it's flourished, that is the key to excellent health. Let me repeat that. If we want excellent health, we want a variety of plants because that feeds more good gut bacteria. It strengthens our gut health, and that's where it all starts, apparently. So, bravo. One of our fasters, she did a collard green wrap for her lunch, which I thought was brilliant. So we have a lunch salad, just a bunch of plants chopped up, thrown together with some beautiful lettuce. But you could do a wrap that is so smart because we also have avocado on the menu. So you could smear avocado. That could be your sticky item. You know, we even have some brown rice in our dinner menu. So you could even add some rice, squish it, make sure that you do really have something sticky, and then wrap it all up. Yeah. So just to say that is everything is really versatile. So especially if you know how to cook and you know food, then you can look at this and you can just create your own menu and create food that you love. All right, so today's lesson, it wasn't a lesson, but it was more of a reminder about having chlorophyll, green plants, like my beautiful basil, green plants, once that is in our bloodstream, and then we go out into the sun hits our skin, it's hitting the chlorophyll and it's having a chemical reaction. This chemical reaction, scientists have discovered many years ago, like maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago, that when we have that interaction, it creates an enzyme called coenzyme Q10, which is an antioxidant. It's an antioxidant. It is a component of the mitochondria, which is the power plant of all of our cells. It helps clear out free radicals. It helps regulate our blood sugar. It helps regulate our blood pressure also. I mean, coenzyme Q10. The coolest thing about this is that when scientists discovered this chemical reaction between chlorophyll, plants, in us, sunlight, boom, we create an antioxidant, whereas before they thought that we had to supplement. So this is very exciting because what other things are we able to naturally create with this kind of combination? And it's not just the chlorophyll. I think this was just a hint. Perhaps it's all plant foods. Perhaps it's more than just plant foods. Perhaps we are just so powerful. We have no idea how powerful we are and what we're capable of until we learn, until we get curious, until we experiment. Anyway, I just thought that was so cool. And yeah, the power of the human body. So in terms of, I wanted to share a little bit about my wish for my fasting round. So I've shared with the group, I've been feeling very tight in my jeans these days. So I'm just not fitting into them as nicely as I could. I could stand in them and put them on, but as soon as I sit down, it's going to be tight. So yes, I would like to drop a little bit of weight and fit into my clothes again properly. And I know that that's going to happen, but the hardest thing is the refeeding. So a few people have said, and I know a lot of people agree with this, sometimes it's the aftermath that is harder than the fast itself. At least with the fast, there's 5 days. We have set boundaries. We have specific rules. We have a very, very specific menu. Wow, there has never been a more specific menu with we're talking 43 grams of berries and 13 grams of cashews. I mean, come on. But when we don't have those rules and we're just out in the wild, we're able to do whatever it is we want to do, then that's when things start getting tricky. So we're in day 3. We've only got literally, for me, 2.5 more days of this. And then we have to figure out, we have to start thinking now about what our eating plan is going to be on day 6 and beyond. So for me, I'm going to stay with whole foods mostly because that's just how I eat. But I'm not going to be as stringent as I have been in the past because it just is not a long-term solution. So what my goal is to be more consistent. I want to consistently meal plan. I want to consistently eat more of a variety of foods. I typically stick to the same stuff over and over and over again because it's just easy, right? And we're busy. We don't want to spend our lives in the kitchen cooking. Even if you love cooking, you don't want to really do that, right? So I will share more recipes coming up. All of the recipes that I've posted so far are things that I eat all the time. And I forget if I shared this already, but I'm proud to say that all of my blood markers look great. I may have said that a couple of things are elevated. They're elevated compared to my numbers in the past. So my numbers in the past, years of eating way healthier than I ever have in my life, i.e. eating vegetables. I used to only eat fast food, lots of alcohol, tons of refined carbs. I mean, I just survived off of refined carbs and cheese. So it was bread, cheese. The only whole plant I would really eat on a regular basis were maybe mushrooms. I love mushrooms and olives. That's about it. That's about it. So I had high cholesterol. My blood pressure wasn't amazing. I had terrible eczema. My eyesight was just really bad. I had astigmatism in my left eye. What other things? Bowel movements weren't very regular or fulfilling. Aches and pains for sure. I had regular headaches. I had lower back pain, a lot of lower back pain. And every couple of weeks, I felt like I was coming down with something. Yeah. I also started feeling really nauseated when it came to eating meat, and that should have tipped me off. I should have known that means maybe you are maxed out on meat for a bit. So just take a break. You don't have to turn into a vegan or a vegetarian. I should have just said, I just don't want to eat that right now. But I had to cut it up into tiny little bits. Otherwise it made me really nauseated. So leaning into the body and realizing when you want to literally excrete the food, maybe that means your body has had enough of it for the time being. Maybe you've had too much of it, and that's why, right? So then I transitioned. I learned a whole bunch of stuff about human nutrition, about food. Wow, learned so much about food. So much about food. Wow, the education is never ending, but I learned a boatload about food, decided I really want to change my habits, and I did. Got my blood markers done. Everything looked great. A couple of things were still a little bit elevated. Then I started doing this fasting mimicking diet. And what do you know? Every single marker is in the optimal range. Optimal range. So even though I was much healthier than I ever was before in my life, this just gave me a huge boost. A huge boost, yes. And I've been maintaining that for the last few years. Now, I just got my blood drawn a few days ago, and blood pressure is raised a little tiny bit. And that's weird for me because typically when I get my blood pressure from anybody, from a nurse, they always comment because they're like, wow, that's really, really good. And so I could tell, like, that's uncommon for them to see that. What else was a little bit up? That was it. That was it. So everything else is still looking good. And I'm quite surprised. I was actually expecting my cholesterol to be a little bit raised because I've been hitting the cheese more often than I normally do, but my cholesterol is still pretty good. I mean, it's optimal, so that's great. After this fast, I'm going to definitely lean into more whole plants, lean into more of a variety, and also not feel weird or bad about eating a little bit of junk food as long as it doesn't fall into my category of kryptonite food. So my category of kryptonite food is food that I really just cannot touch unless I want a battle. So I shared today in our group call that my kryptonite food, the only one that I've discovered so far, is McDonald's breakfast sandwiches. Yeah, the sausage and egg McMuffin. Man, that is like the best thing ever. So I find that when I do eat that, I am obsessed with it. I want it every single day, multiple times a day, and I just can't stop thinking about it. I love breakfast sandwiches. I love eggs. Eggs used to be my favorite food of life. Slap on a little bit of cheese, a little bit of sausagey meat, that bread. So good. But I know if I want to alleviate myself from that battle, then just don't go there. Does that mean I'm living a restrictive life? No, because there's 8,000 other things that are so delicious that I can enjoy. But if I do have it, do I beat myself up over that? Absolutely not. Why? Because life happens and it's fine. Everything is changing. And the question, if you also beat yourself up over, or if you do beat yourself up, I used to do that. I used to feel so guilty if I had a little bit of meat, or if I had cheese, or if I had chips. Chips used to be my kryptonite. No longer. There's a full bag of delicious looking chips in our snack drawer right now, like large family size bag, and I don't need it. I want it, but I really don't need it. And it's become a lot easier to just not touch it. My point being, if you do kind of torture yourself or you feel guilty, I think the question that you could pose to yourself is, in all aspects of your life, do you execute everything at an A++ level? Do you never make a mistake? Do you never execute a little worse or differently than you do in your optimal execution? So there's just something to keep in mind. And food, because we have to eat and we're doing it every day and we're doing it multiple times a day, is it going to be perfectly fine every single time? I don't think so. That's just not realistic. And so, when I come across people who kind of look at me and give me this like, ew, I would never put that stuff in my body. Like, okay, that's great. That's for you. That's great for you. But for me, I have objective proof that I'm in excellent health. My metabolic health is outstanding. And for me, because I know that lifetime dosage matters, and I've lived many decades of my life not metabolically well whatsoever, that's why I want to keep this going. I want to live a full life. I want to be there for my kid, all the things that I know that you want to. So I think that offering ourselves that grace and having things that are flexible, I think that that's just the most realistic way to live. There's a period of time where we can be strict, where we are kind of like releasing our addiction or working through it. And even like this 5-day fast, it's 5 days of relative pain, of very conscious, intentional eating. And then we are free. But even within this menu, there is so much freedom. So, yeah, I guess the message is invite freedom into your life a little bit more. Identify the pieces that are kryptonite that we might have to say, I'm going to change my relationship with you, but for now, we need to have a clean break. We need to break up with that bad boyfriend and just have a break. Maybe we will be friends in the future, maybe, but for now, it just doesn't make sense to be hanging out, even texting, like just nothing. Clean break. And then in the future, maybe you could be friends, maybe you could not. You don't have to make that decision right now. So offering ourselves grace equals living a better life, living a freer life, and just making the most out of this life. And yeah, that's my strange message for you today. I feel a lot better today, day 3. I have shared in the past, in my past fasting rounds, when I've come on here and shared about my nightmares, my crazy dreams, and how every single fast there seems to be a theme and a through line. It's like a lesson for myself. And I tend to always have really terrifying nightmares. And I forgot about that. So the other night, yeah, here we go. I had a pretty bad nightmare. It wasn't crazy though, so that was nice. And then this morning, I had just a wonderful, beautiful, vibrant, insanely vibrant dream. There was just so much going on. There was forgiveness happening. Somebody in my real life showed up in my dream, and we've just lost touch because I screwed up. And so she just never wants to talk to me again. Oops. I've tried to apologize. And anyway, maybe my apology wasn't sincere enough. And in my dream, I kind of got upset with her. And I'm like, you know what? What I did was not really that bad, was it? And it's now been like a decade. Can we just mend things? Or maybe we just don't mend things. That's fine too. But it was just interesting that that came up. So maybe that relationship is more important to me than I thought. And maybe it's time for me to offer a more sincere apology. And we'll see what happens. And maybe I call her out on her BS and say, like, just that's ridiculous. You can't still be mad. But in reality, she can be whatever she wants to be. All right. Well, my dreams, that transition from nightmare state to excellent and beautiful and vibrant and all the most amazing. Like, I was almost in awe. There were so many different scenes in the dream. And I think that that is an indication that I've also entered into a fasted state. That may sound a little woo-woo, but that is truly what I believe. I believe that days 1 and 2, as we're transitioning into the fasted state, we are excreting all kinds of stuff. We are detoxing. The brain is just so active. The body is changing. We're shifting fuel sources. There's hormonal changes. There's physiological changes in terms of like energy switches. And there's so much else that's going on. We're also starting to develop new stem cells. That blows my mind. But I think that that is an indication of my brain state being different too. So I just think that's all really fascinating. I had mentioned also about the teas and the message in the teas, and I meant to share this with you yesterday, and it says, oh, you can't see it. It says, give life your best and life will give you its best. So this, I think, doing stuff like fasting and paying attention, just simply paying attention to how we are living our lives, but you know, in this topic, how we are feeding ourselves, how we are nourishing ourselves. I don't like to use the word poison, like I was going to say how we're poisoning ourselves. I think we poison ourselves with a very high quantity of a certain poison. And yes, that is the definition of a poison. In a certain quantity, it could be poisonous, sure. So fine, that word is fine. But just paying attention to all of those things is yeah, what we need to do. All right, I'm rambling, gotta go. I'll see you tomorrow. I hope you have an excellent rest of your day 3. Bye.